Everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Chris Kirby, and this is my buddy Eric. Eric is a fellow tiny trucker. Eric has his own Acty truck. What year is yours?
97.
Eric's got a 97 Honda Acty. Tell us about your truck real quick.
97, it looked way better in photos than it did in person when I got it. So
They all do.
I imported it from Japan.
They're very deceptive.
They're
very deceptive.
It had a cool blue paint job online. It's a rolled on latex paint job.
Only the best.
It's a great truck. Nothing too crazy bad. Did normal.
Dude, for those that don't know, what is a latex paint job?
If you were to go to Lowe's and say, I want that color and roll it on, it's pretty darn equivalent to that, because that's what it feels like and looks like. That's exactly what it looks like. An orange on the outside, but a sky blue latex paint job. So it's cool though. It's a great truck. Had no real issues. I had a valve cover leak, swapped that out, swapped the front axle when it had a bad issue when I bought it. It's a great truck. I drive it all over. I'll drive it 100 miles a day for work every once in a while. Floor everywhere, because 28 horsepower only gets you so far, but they're great.
Dude, tell us about the modifications.
Thanks for the peer pressure on it.
Oh, dude, yeah. I peer pressured him into the ground until he bought one of those little trucks.
I drove his one day to work and left my big truck behind. I was like, okay, I need a tiny truck. And I don't know how much longer it was afterwards, but
it wasn't
I was just
very long.
waiting for I wanted one that was different. I thought it was going to be a blue paint job, but it needs to get redone. But it's as low as I can get it. It's on gas coilovers, maxed all the way out. The rear end is 2 leaves removed and bump stops cut down 1.5 inches. The tires have a nice little groove in them from the rear flares on them, but
what wide body kit do you have?
it's the Hello Special, I think is what it's called. Hello Special rear flares, and the front is a right-hand drive Japan front bumper with the front skirt lips, whatever they're called. Nothing too crazy on the inside. You know, speakers. I like music, so it's got 2 Rockford Fosgate 4s in it. It's got a infotainment setup for the front. I think it's an NRG steering wheel hub assembly, and then a little, I don't even know what brand muffler it is. A Weirus Wind, I think it sounds right. Weirus Wind front muffler, rear muffler for the truck.
You sound like you are talking to Wiki Bobby.
It's from somewhere, so it's
Weirus Wind.
Weirus Wind. WIRUS Wind. But they're great. They're fun. I said not a lot of work. Did normal maintenance on it. Done 3 oil changes. I've owned the thing, and it rides like a top until the valve cover leaks, and then you gotta fix that. Haven't been able to chase that one down. It's leaked twice now on me. But
what's your tire wheel combo?
It's a 155 on a 14x7 wheel, so it's got a lot of stretch actually.
Yep, Eric's rocking the RPF ones.
RPF ones, best damn powder coating. Powder coating for me. Did the tailgates and latches too. Forgetting that actually don't have the tailgates on today, but yeah, it's a fun little thing. The wheels are probably my favorite part of the truck. Between the color and the stretch, I don't normally like the stretch, but the stretch works for this truck. So
the little trucks need the stretch.
When it's that low too, because it's rubbing everywhere. The front had to hammer out some pinch welds in the front, and the rears have the over flares that just kind of cuts in. But after you drive for a while, the tire just burns itself down.
That's low
life. It's good to go. So it's low life. So it's cool. It's not for functionality. It just looks cool. That's the only reason I do it. It's not practical.
Dude, when the trucks are as tiny as they are and as compact, you can get away with that.
This is true. Yeah.
Because no one's going to tell you, oh, you ruined the vehicle.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's true.
they will, because I've heard it. But
there's some purists out there, and I've had a couple purists. I don't know if I was with you
dude,
guys.
That was the last thing I expected getting into the Honda Acty trucks. Tiny truck purists. They get upset when you do dang near anything with these little trucks.
They will tell you. I've had a couple people at Lowe's. I've gone to Lowe's multiple times to pick up lumber in this thing, and people were like, this is not what the truck's meant to be. I was like, it's cool. It's my truck, man. It looks cool. I like it, you know.
Dude, it's a tiny truck.
So it's a tiny truck. It's
different.
It is
a tiny truck.
Thanks for the conversation and, seeing the truck, put the truck name out there kind of thing. But yeah, there's some purists out there which are, I would have never guessed.
I never thought that was coming.
No.
Dude, as soon as I started K-swapping the truck, they started showing up.
Yeah.
They're like, that'll never be used as a truck again. You have cut a giant hole in the bed.
I mean, I'm sure it's more now, too. I mean, I got my first... When did you get your first one? How long ago was that?
Jeez Louise. So I started K-swapping 2 years ago. I drove the thing daily for at least a year and a half. So I'm going to ballpark, and I've been tiny trucking for 4 years.
4 or 5 years ago. So and there was not a lot of tiny trucks in Charlotte. At least in this area at that. There's a handful. Now there's I would consider it a lot compared to what it used to be.
Dude, I saw one on my way back from Advanced Auto today.
Yeah, there's one that parks out in front of my office all the time now. The owner,
little Subaru.
The Subaru, on 74 there, he's got a little Subaru, Sandbar, I think is what they're called.
Yep, Sandbar.
The owner of one of the breweries in Uptown Charlotte has one, and they do the little rice lager.
I've seen that.
I don't remember who it's called.
The
now,
who is it? The mini truck, something mini trucks.
Triple C. Yeah, they make rice.
What else? Queen City mini trucks. They're always headed up there.
K-truck lager is what it is. Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot. They're all over the place. So yeah, you'll get a lot more to purists now, and you'll get a lot more people that are like, "What the heck are you doing? Just leave it as is. It's a great truck." But
we can't leave anything alone.
It's no different than you having any of your other cars that you've never left. I think you have one vehicle that you've left bone stock, minus your work truck.
What's the other one?
The one Cartier got you for your birthday.
The Type R.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you consider that. Is that bone stock?
I guess. Yeah.
Close.
I powder coated the wheels and the calipers. Yeah, I haven't done anything to it.
That, yeah.
That's bone stock.
It's your stuff. Who cares what
exactly
that is, but
exactly.
I can't picture leaving a tiny truck bone stock. I think
they're perfect for modifying.
Yeah,
just a little bit or a whole lot.
Yeah, you could do
either way.
The big mud tires on the dump truck was pretty cool. It looked cool and not practical, obviously.
It broke. It broke almost immediately.
It did not make it far.
She is still broke.
Yeah.
But I'm working my way through the broke dump truck, so we'll cover that in future episodes. But she's still broke. The tiny truck K-swap is still down. I have one functioning little truck at this point, and I'm starting to look at it like something needs to change.
What are we going to do to this?
What are we going to do to you?
Truck? So could it be, something to do with the motor that's sitting behind us? Could it be something? You don't have that sitting here anyways, but
it's right here.
No, the other part.
Don't turn around and look at stuff. I did it again.
Yeah.
I did it again. We're going to edit that out. We're going to stop turning around and looking at stuff. You know what else we're going to edit out? This sip of beer, brought to you by my beer fridge.
By Darth Vader. Mm-hmm. This is not the beer. That's not Darth Vader, actually.
You sounded British when you did that.
Yeah,
good for you.
Whoever I was trying to pretend to be was not Darth Vader.
All right, we're going to get into the whole how it started versus how it's going aspect of the little red truck. All right?
Cool.
All right, so we've talked about Eric's truck and his adventures. Let's move into how it started versus how it's going with the K-swap truck. Wow. All right, so how it started. How it started as, man, I think I had a 1.5 window, 2 months for the K-swap challenge. So I've got into watching the original videos, and I'm sorry I let you guys down. So the initial concept was my buddy Josh was going to turbo his K truck, and I was going to K-swap mine.
You start with the why? Why you ended up swapping the motor?
So why I swapped the motor is I blew the head gasket in the red one, and
on the dyno.
I did.
Well, maybe it was on. I don't know if it was on the dyno.
I don't know. That was when it really started smoking good, though.
You pushed it on the dyno for sure.
Got to push it to the limits.
Yeah.
The limits.
The limit was.
We
hit the limit.
It was trying to figure out how much power it was making. So mine made 20 horsepower, and I'm seeing other dyno sheets come out where people are hitting like 37.
Yeah.
So not only was the head gasket blown, but the motor was hurt. So I'd imagine that the whole grand scheme of putting it on the dyno and stressing it out just absolutely finished it off. And it did absolutely finish it off.
And now it started this cool adventure.
Yeah, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to K-swap it. And I said it very breezy, like this wasn't even going to be a big deal. I'm just going to K-swap this tiny truck. Everybody just stand back and watch this. The moment I knew I was screwed, the absolute moment I knew that I was screwed is when, we'll have to go back to, I think it was like video 2, maybe the end of like episode 1, had the truck on a forklift, and I was lowering the truck down, and I was like, here we go, baby, here we go. Transmission struck the leaf spring, and I budged over some, motor struck the frame. It was at that moment, 80% of me knew that I was completely out of luck. There was 20% that was like, we can weasel and wedge it in. I couldn't. It wasn't happening.
It's pretty tight.
I still had this false hope, though. I was like, all right. I was like, I can very quickly independent suspension, 4-link, 3-link, coilover convert. But man, once you get into that, it's game over. So fast forward,
quickly was not quickly.
Quickly was not quickly.
Yeah.
The fortunate part is that Josh got sidetracked with his own projects, so I didn't actually have to compete with Josh anymore, and I was able to purely focus on the truck. And that's when the while we're there.
Yeah.
While we're there, let's do this. Let's do that.
A little bit of rust here. Let's fix that. A little bit of rust there.
A little bit my butt.
someone sends you a turbo in the mail. Oh, cool. Why not? You know.
Hey, let's go.
It's just all the. There's a lot of while you were there, so I think. I don't think there's anything.
I'm still on while I'm there.
I mean, aside from like the original, original red paint job, what have you not touched on the truck? I don't think there's anything you haven't touched at any part.
I have not touched the roof yet.
I mean, sure, yeah. I mean, that's it. I mean, you can put a scoop on it.
Turn around. I haven't touched the roof yet. So for those of you watching, if y'all catch me a little, we're desperately trying not to turn around and look at the truck. It's hard.
0 for 2 on this new one right here.
Yeah. I'm going back for another sip of beer.
Do a little, man, a roof scoop though.
Hey.
A little, like a Subaru roof scoop, a rally car.
Oh no, dude! Let's do the roof scoop from the original Fast and the Furious Eclipse, the one that does nothing but catch air and rip itself off.
You mean the ones you can buy at AutoZone for $29.99? Those are good.
Are they that much now?
I don't know.
Thanks a lot, Obama.
I mean, I was gonna say somebody made them that expensive nowadays.
Oh, so. I'm sure. I never understood those scoops because all they would do is catch air and then rip themselves off.
Some of them have a flat face in the front, so they don't even do anything. So you're just having air.
It's like they took the hood scoop off of a Subaru for the intercooler, and they're like, let's just stick one on the roof of this car. So we're not going to do that.
No.
We're not going to do that, but I'm still in the process of working my way through the swap. So there's 2 ways that you could go about doing this, and either way, I hope you have a lot of patience, and you have to skin the entire frame rails of the truck to get this done. There is a lot of components that exist for the leaf spring attachments and other things that you simply can't use, and they get in the way of actually being able to put any other suspension components in there. So the whole truck the entire time is fighting you from wanting to change over the suspension components.
It's like it's not meant to be done or something.
Yeah, the truck doesn't want it. It doesn't want it at all. So if I was to start over and do it again, you pull the motor out, obviously, and then you spend the next 2 weekends of your life drilling through old weld points and even trying to find the old spot welds is impossible.
Yeah, I mean,
and then when you start to pry on the components that you want to remove, here comes the frame rail. Because the frame rail is like a 1/16 of an inch, if that thick.
It's
30-year-old.
It's it comes from an island that's it's rust. The island it's an island surrounded by salt
water.
Dude, everything's destroyed on there.
They made all the mounting brackets thicker than the frame rail that they welded it to. So you got to get through all of that. You have to get to like this nice smooth canvas, which you're not going to have. You're going to have to patch the canvas back together. So you have points to weld on, and then the actual work begins.
Yeah, it's not like there's a lack of. I mean, this is probably the reason there's only, I don't know how many people have.
I think there's only one.
There's only other than what was.
Have you seen another one besides S1s?
That's right, S1s. There's people that are doing them, but yeah,
I've heard rumor that there's more.
Yeah.
But if you go and
seen them out there.
Do you know how I know that there's not a lot of them out there? If you Google it, I show up. And mine doesn't even exist. Like, so straight up, like S1 shows up first.
Yeah.
Because there's jams. Yeah. And they've done a fantastic job.
It's like they do this for a living or something.
Yeah, it's almost like they do it for a living and they do everything the very best that it can be done.
Seriously.
So, like, theirs shows up, and then if you scroll down, I'm there, and I'm like, man, I'm like, this is bad.
Yeah. I mean, there's not a lot of them. It's not like there's not a lot of room to work with. Everything that you have here, is bigger than what was there. It's trying to put 10 pounds of whatever you want to call in a 5-pound bucket. It's not meant to be, but that makes it that much cooler.
It is very cool.
So much cooler.
And I can say this for the process and what I've done. When I started out, let's say that I had this much ability to weld, right? So now I have this much ability to weld. And that's on a scale of this much being the full meter of ability to weld, but it has actually given me the opportunity to try new things, develop new skills. In that process, I've made new friends. So
it's fun and learning. You also didn't have a plasma cutter before you started this, and now you have a plasma cutter.
I have a plasma cutter now.
That's cool. That's
I can
like
cut
the coolest toy
I can literally cut through plasma.
Yeah.
Wait, no?
No, with plasma.
I can literally.
I think that's right?
Does that sound right?
That
still?
Sounds wrong.
That
you
still
can cut
sounds
through
wrong.
steel with
I can cut
fire.
through steel with a plasma cutter.
Yeah.
And
that's pretty cool.
I'm about to figure out what a plasma cutter actually means now, because this just sounds like you're cutting.
It just looks like you take fire and cut metal, which is kind of freaking
And that's
cool,
what you do.
Yeah.
And that's how we do it.
That's the coolest tool I think he owns nowadays. So.
Yep. So it'll help you develop new skills. would I recommend anyone else trying this? If you have time and an extra truck, or you're not particularly worried about when the truck's going to be back, no, I would say yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, not a lot, but there's motorcycle swap trucks out there, motorcycle engine swapped trucks out there. Those seem to be more or less the most straightforward way to go about it, because you can run those to a solid rear axle.
Right.
I think is what everyone's doing, right?
Yeah. And they're tinier, easier to
So it's
to
a train.
deal with,
It's a chain drive to a solid rear axle setup, and then you run those that way, and they're fast, and I love those.
Yeah.
And they're incredibly cool. But we started the K swap process and got to finish the K swap process.
Yeah, I mean the K swap process is gonna. So yeah, other than S1. If there's other swaps that are out there.
If there are other swaps out there,
Yeah.
K swaps. I know there's a guy with a B series overseas in Europe or Germany, and that little thing freaking scoots. I'm a little jealous of him. So it turns out, and I'm a B series guy at heart, and so I saw this, and it turns out that the B series actually fits between the leaf springs because it's smaller, no problem.
It's like
I'm familiar with the B series,
Yeah.
and I went with the K series because it was cables instead of shift linkage.
Right.
And I was like, this will make it easier because MR2, NSX, they already have the kits for the cable.
Right.
You know, I was like, oh yeah, I was like, that's done. Like I thought that was going to be the biggest of my worries when I started this process. But
Little have you learned?
so
What's been the biggest pain in the butt, biggest worry, biggest learning thing you've done now?
Hold on, say that again.
What's the biggest pain in the butt or learning experience with the truck? If you thought that was going to be your biggest worry, which clearly it's not.
Yeah, in a pile of big concerns and worries. So after actually making the truck swappable, at first it was the motor mounts. And then
Every new thing.
Everything after the next is a concern and a worry. Originally it was the motor mounts, how am I gonna get this thing in the truck? And then I get it in and I'm like, all right, I have it sitting square, and where the axle and the input shaft, half shaft, go in, that is all squared and centered with a wheelbase. And at that point, that was my biggest concern and worry.
Yeah.
Now I have to figure out how to 4-link the truck. So I wanted to 4-link the truck because it was a truck.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's how you do truck stuff. I was like, I'm going to treat this like a truck. And I wanted to 4-link it really, really, really badly. And then I found out that the transmission housing is so big that you can only run 3 links, which is okay because you can 3-link a truck.
Yeah.
Add the pan hard bar, keeps everything where it needs to be. And honestly, the travel is going to be so minimal
Right.
that we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And I over-engineered the whole thing. All of my links and joints are for rock crawling Jeeps.
Yeah.
So I feel pretty confident
Not
with
a
like
1,300-pound tiny truck,
with
so.
the meat
Yeah.
of what I've done, being
It's
able to take
pretty
it.
freaking beefy. I mean, it looks from the back end. It just looks. It's the coolest part of the truck currently.
Oh yeah, the coolest part currently is the rear of the truck. We have a little turbski sitting Lambo style where the tag goes, and you can see the coilovers and the springs just sitting loud and proud at the back. It's she's pretty sexy,
is,
and we are going to
good
get into the
truck.
whole turbocharger aspect in future episodes. I have a very kind company that has sent me a free turbocharger that I do need to give them a shout out, but I really want to reveal all that at the proper time.
Right.
When we're working on the turbo kit, which is coming up after the motor build.
Yeah, they'll take some more custom.
Some more customs.
Figuring. Everything's custom at this point. It'll take some more figuring out of things to do with your new shiny tools to do all this. So it's just.
I am very fortunate, my
Yeah.
friends, that I am able to pull this off. I can say that very, very confidently that solo I couldn't do this. I have some really good friends behind me that if I don't know how to do something, they will take the time out of their schedule. They will come and teach me and show me. And if I repetitively fail and they feel bad for me, they will just come over here and do it for me.
Yeah.
So I'm very fortunate in the friends that I've made. You really can't do this alone, but the truck's it's been a lot of fun. It's going to continue to be fun for us.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
I'm itching to see it done, itching to see it. The fact that it rolls again, I kind of glanced there too. But the fact that it rolls again is it's cool in itself to see that thing just move back
Oh,
and
yeah.
forth. But
Once the K-swap was in there
yeah,
and the suspension was done and I dropped it down, I was like, oh, baby, we have us a roller.
yeah, it's a huge achievement done. And now it's like, okay, cool. Now it's the finishing of putting the Legos back together. You've got the chassis to work with, and that sounds way easier when I'm saying it out loud, but.
Oh, that's what I thought.
It's,
Dude, I thought that what I've done in the 2-year process was going to be a 2-month process. So it's easy to say that. Oh, we're going to make a K-swap roller real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. With no skills, with no background in it. We're just going to slap this together real
I would
quick.
say, where would you say you are in the build? Are you 60% of the way done? 70% of the way done? You're past the halfway point, I think, at this point.
I think the struggle was getting the motor to actually be in the truck and to get the suspension completed.
Yeah, I think those are two biggest physical things to do.
The last big daunting thing that I have to do in the process is make axles.
Yeah.
I have a really good plan for that. I've actually acquired some equipment especially for that. I haven't shown you guys any of that yet, so that's going to come in the future. But I've been thinking about the axles since this whole project started.
Since you put the motor in.
I've had 2 years to think about these axles, and I have, behind the scenes, been acquiring some equipment that is going to help me get that done. So I feel pretty confident. Every time I say that, I have to do it 3 times, but I'm aware of that now. So I'm ahead of the curve.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, well, you guys will see. It's not a traditional setup for that, but
It's definitely not traditional.
it's back to, as I said, it's all touched on one off. Is this the same way that S1 did it though, or is it different?
Okay, so the only thing that S1 didn't cover was the axles.
Oh, okay.
And
so,
I understand why.
yeah, so it might be the same way. We just don't know, I guess.
So I did notice that at some point, I feel like they destroyed an axle and they fixed it and they learned from that because now they have ITBs on theirs.
Right.
And I think it screams like 10,000 RPM. So they have the axle thing figured out.
Yeah, sure.
But no surprise there.
No, yes, it's what they do. This is a guy that works full time, working out of his garage to do this. So it's
Yeah,
a
dude,
little
this
bit
is
different.
this is like side project Saturday, and then like real life gets in the way, and you're like, I don't get to side project Saturday now.
Yeah, I understand that part. So yeah,
But yeah, so we've gone through the entire truck, not just the K-swap. The reasoning behind that is I was sure that if I just K-swapped this truck and left everything rusty, rickety, and crappy, that I was going to immediately die as soon as I hit a corner.
yeah, it's.
I was like, the suspension will fail, so
It's
that's all
pretty
been replaced.
freaking stout right now. I mean, every aspect of it, even, and the rest is gone. So it's one less thing to have to worry about too. So
Yep, brand new front suspension.
touch everything.
Brand new coilovers in the front. Went with the BC Racing Mazda Miata full bodies. Converted that over. We have full body coilovers in the rear. Custom 3-link. So the future is looking bright. I sure hope so. But dude, I always have in the back of my mind, I was like, you're gonna get this thing running, and don't ever get too confident
Yeah.
that the moment you take it down the road, you don't hear go,
Yeah, that
and you're like, so we're going back to replace this piece or that part.
Yeah, I mean, it's a whole new vehicle at this point. There's nothing. It's not your normal swap that you would do in a vehicle where you swap an LS into something or whatever. You're touching every component of the vehicle here.
Yep.
So it's there's a lot more worries behind it, a lot more what ifs and crap that can go wrong. But this will be one of the cooler builds I think I've seen in a long time.
I'm excited about mine because if I can just get this thing to halfway function properly,
Yeah,
I think that I will have one of the more unique, cooler ones.
for sure.
So with the front end, we've done the weight plate. I've modified a 89 Civic EF ABS plastic front lip. It's more or less a one-off at this point, and I really like the way that that front lip flows. We've done JDM yellow fog lights in the setup, and I also have a set of ITR side marker lights that would traditionally go in the fender.
Right.
But since the truck doesn't have any fenders, it's going to go in the door.
Yeah.
So like my plan is to have the most like JDM EF duty slammed Civic style Acty truck that exists.
It's gonna be cool.
So besides the
quite
K-swap, I'm going for the aesthetic look like
Yeah.
crazy too.
It's
like this
everything
truck
else.
needs to look really EF Civic JDM for
Heck yeah.
me when it's all said and done.
Yeah,
Hey, and if my duty slam costs me an oil pan or a transmission casing, so be it. I've heard it. They're like, you're way too low. You're going to destroy your stuff.
it's pretty freaking low.
It's going to be okay.
It's pretty low.
Yeah, at this point, whatever.
It's lower than mine, and mine's uncomfortable. It's low, so it's cool though.
It
It's
is
all
cool.
that matters. It's cool. Just keep it on flat ground, man.
I definitely won't. I hope that the tipping hazard is over.
I mean, I think you're.
I've seen several of these things tip over at this point.
I would say. I mean, you're low enough to where even when I've dropped mine, I don't think.
Yeah,
I
but
think
I
it
want
would take a lot.
I want to do donuts.
Yeah.
I want to do aggressive donuts, but I think with the weight plate in the front and the lower center of with the lower center of gravity of the K-swap being where it's at, I don't think I have to worry about the tipping
I don't
aspect.
think you have to worry about that. I think you got enough power, enough low, enough weight in the front to make the donuts be It's gonna want to do donuts. It's just it's gonna scream, please turn me, do a donut. It's just gonna it's a matter of just finishing it so you can do a donut in your driveway, man.
Oh yeah. Well, people are like, that thing's gonna do wheelies and this and that and the other.
I don't know about that.
Well, so the game plan is to do a very hard compound tire.
Yeah.
So by doing the hard compound tire, we will eliminate that tire wrinkle and that grab that will make that even want to happen. So hard compound tire. I haven't settled on tire wheel combo yet, but I do know that the hard compound tire is a must. I want to do something between a 13 and a 14. It needs to be dishy to work with my vision.
It's like you have a perfect set of wheels right there on the Integra that would look
oh,
great
the welds,
on them, you know?
Man, that would destroy the entire vehicle.
It would, yeah, it would.
That would destroy the entire vehicle, but the welds do look good on it.
They do look good, yeah. It's not like you've tested them before.
No, we did.
Yeah, so.
But yep, so that's where we were versus where we are. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, support the channel. The more that you guys support, the more that I can do on this vehicle. A lot of it is me saving up, spending to make this happen. We've gone really big on the engine management, and we've gone really big on a lot of the suspension components. I still have a little ways to go, so your support goes a long way. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.